Oh, that's awesome. All right, today I'm going to teach you how a Bosch relay works and how to wire it up properly. They all work the same way. You can see there's an 86 terminal, an 85 terminal, an 87, an 87A that nobody cares about, and a 30. And on the bottom, you'll see these numbers are actually labeled on the bottom. You can see 87 at the top, 30 at the bottom, 86 on the left, and 85 on the right. So, the reason why you want a relay is because if you send a whole lot of power through a switch, you'll melt the switch. But a relay, you can send a whole lot of power through one side, and you can control it with a little bit of power on the other. So it's basically just an electronic switch. So, in this case, I actually drew a diagram. So I'm going to show you a diagram. Here's your typical relay diagram. You can see, I'll put the relay right here for fun. All right, so you'll see right here we have the terminals. 87, you want to send all the power to, because you need to power up the light bulb or your fuel pump or your lights or your fan. You need to power up something that takes a lot of electricity. So you want to give that all the battery power. So you take the battery power all the way over here to 87, and 30 goes to whatever your load is. So your fuel pump, your fan, whatever. The opposite terminals, the 86, comes from a switch. So you need to have power going through your switch, as you can see, over to 86. And then 85 goes to ground. And ground is obviously just the ground side of the battery. It should be grounded to your chassis. I made a little chassis ground up here too. But it's really simple. You basically just send a whole lot of power through one side of the relay, 87 and 30, and a little bit of power on the switch side, 86 and 85. On a lot of Bosch relay connectors, you'll notice that 86 and 85 actually have smaller gauge wire, and 87 and 30 have thicker gauge wire. That's because the 87 and 30 have higher amperage going through them than the 86 and 85 do. The 85 and 86, they just control the power going through the 87 and 30. So guess what else? I actually made the real thing right here. So you can see, I just plopped my relay in here. Here's just a 9-volt battery that I'm going to pretend is a car battery. Here's my switch, which as you can see is right here. Here's the load, which could be a fuel pump, it could be a fan, it could be whatever. And then you have your ground. So this is wired the exact same way as this. And you'll see that if I hit the switch, you hear the relay click and the light bulb lights up. It's making some kind of funny noises because I'm only sending 9 volts to it, and it's probably a dead battery, and I'm putting it through a 12-volt relay. So it's a little finicky, but you get the idea. So basically what's happening here is you have power coming from the battery to the switch, and it's going to the 86 terminal, and then from the 86 terminal, it jumps over inside the relay to 85 terminal, which goes to a ground. The battery also powers up the 87 terminal, which is actually this blue wire here, I believe, goes to the relay. And then the 30 terminal, which is yellow, comes out here and goes to the load. The other side of the load goes to a ground. So basically every part of the circuit needs a power and a ground going to it. Alright, so just as a recap, you got your 87 and 30. 87 has the power straight from the battery. 30 goes out from the relay to whatever you're trying to power up. Your fuel pump, your fans, your lights, whatever it may be. 85 goes to ground. 86 is power from your little tiny switch that's going to control the 87 and 30 circuit. It's going to turn this circuit on and off. So, low amperage switch, ground. This is where your fuel pump is or whatever. And this is power in from your battery. Super easy, right? If you liked the video, be sure to subscribe. Alright. I know people are going to complain about this. So, right in here, there needs to be some fuses. So you should always have fuses on everything coming out of the battery. Don't ever skip fuses. In fact, the closer to the battery they are, the better. If you can put it like right next to the battery, that would be great. Because then it only leaves a short distance for something to go horribly wrong. So, moral is, you should always have fuses on all of your power sources. If there's a fuse or a power source coming off your battery, make sure there's a fuse in it somewhere. So throw a fuse here, throw a fuse here. Anywhere you can put a fuse on the power source, you're better off, you're safer, and that way if the power wire grounds to anything, it won't light your car on fire or your whatever on fire. It's gonna just pop the fuse and you'll be in good shape. Oh, that's awesome.